Okay, so I'll prefer POIs verbally, and speech will start in 3, 2, and 1. Let me ask opposition a simple question. Is AI software beneficial? It is, but the rise is what we're emphasizing, and this in turn creates a generation of laziness and dependent. The rise is the keyword in this debate, which means that people have relied on using something, and it has been popular more than ever. A couple of questions I'll answer in my speech. First, how the rise of those delivery apps is harming people in return. And second of all, the second question, which we'll be tackling in this debate, is how we on our side promote and protect food culture and active culture when it comes to food and community engagement, and how we benefit the consumers even more. Note that this is not a debate on which side brings more convenience to the people, but on whether which side can mitigate the potential harms that the rise of those delivery apps bring. Because convenience is just a small factor in this debate and proposition, and our side is willing to make a trade-off right there. So a couple of clarification I would like to make before coming to the main clashes in this debate. First is that opposition can't continue to emphasize their main point of convenience because all they say, their scope of this debate is really narrow. They mention people like the elderly people or people who are immobile. And we'll tackle this. It doesn't matter if their side proposes more harm to the people and other stakeholders, including employees and businesses. Know that in the past, people had no such thing as internet connection or electronic devices. Now, in some parts of the world, they also lack those kind of apps. Sure, it may be convenient, but this isn't about the apps, but more on people's time management skill. If I were a mom having to care for my kids 24/7, having to have like a side job, but I can still find time to go grocery shopping if I really put my heart into it and if I really find the time to do something I like. And they can never find more time to do something if they don't find time to actually do it. Instead, side opposition should look at the bigger picture and focus on more realistic issues. Like, they should prove to us how the rise of those apps is beneficial to the environment as a whole. Because on our side, our second speaker talks about sustainability and how this promotes sustainable farming or other kinds of, eco-friendly restaurants. And secondly, how can people enjoy better food on their side of the house? Because just because something is good doesn't mean relying or doing or eating it too much will give you more benefit. Like, eating vegetable is good, but can you survive actually eating vegetable 24/7 without other kinds of food if you were not to be a vegetarian, or that will just deem harmful to you? So now coming to the main clashes in this debate. First of all, we'd like to make a comparison between on our side how we can protect the food culture and active culture, and we'll compare both sides' solution in this debate. Because the nature of grocery delivery app is something, and why is it bad? The nature of this is that first of all, they're fast, right? You order something and food arrives to you in a matter of seconds. And sure, this may be beneficial to people who are immobile or people who are unable to take care of themselves. But we just like to make one side note is that this is actually beside the point, because if those people are immobile and can't carry on with their day-to-day life, they probably have somebody to take care of them, like their kids will still be there, or they have relatives, or they'll be living in a special home, etc. So we believe this is not really a big problem, but the rise is what we're talking about. And second of all, the nature of grocery delivery apps contain flexibility, like you order anything anywhere. Now, this may sound awesome and all, but in reality, it's not always like that. Because with the rise of preference for convenience, there's always a cost. For example, there'll be increased access to unhealthy food, which we have mentioned really clearly in the substantive speeches. Like, there'll be fast-produced food, and this will in turn shift the people's mindset. Because imagine, for example, a scenario. You get to stay at home alone without your parents for one night, right? The first thing that came to your head is to order some food, like a pizza or a McDonald's, instead of cooking a home-cooked meal. You can always cook a home-cooked meal. But because of this mindset, it has shifted people's mindset. People think that now they can just turn to ordering food because that's what everybody does, and it's very convenient. Now, why is this so bad? Because people then start to rely too much on convenience. For instance, for example, ChatGPT, right? It can be beneficial to generate ideas and help you understand a problem instantly. It's not always good, since by then people start to rely on it too much, and because they get what they want instantly. So the thing itself is good, but the rise price of something is what we're tackling and what we're opposing in this debate. And instead of working hard to get to the work themselves. And this means people over time start missing out on fresh grocery, community engagement, and they no longer have the habit of actually going out and go grocery shopping. As a result, grocery shopping has no longer been a priority by those people, like working people, normal people who are working, or just adults in general, parents who are like raising their kids, and they view this as a thing that's not of importance. Instead, they resort to ordering food as a normal activity. How on our side, we promote food culture and active culture. Because people on our side, they will tend to engage in community. They'll go to markets, like there'll be fresh markets near their house, or in turn, this will promote sustainable farming and sustainability. Because we don't harm the environment with the constant single-use plastic packaging. On their side, because the rice, we're talking about the rice, and in the first speech, one of the members mentioned about how people, they're less likely to order this because it's going to be like expensive, and they're just going to order this once in a while, like particularly for the elderly. But because of the rice, we believe that this has become normalized. And if like in a day-to-day, you can just order anything, and you can even order like little stuff. So why can't you order food, right? And the other side, they also say one thing which we'd like to tackle is on small businesses. They say to us is that to build a consumer base, like small businesses will get noticed because of those apps. Now, this is not the case here, since with the rise of so many apps, many small businesses in turn actually go unnoticed, because on our side, we promote those businesses better by actively driving consumers to eat and go to stores directly, which we are promoting active culture and food culture as a whole. People on their side will have a tendency to order food from well-known places. They will less likely to try out new restaurants when they order something online, because when you order online, you're more likely than ever to order food at well-known places like McDonald's or Pizza Hut, etc. And those are some of the most common places that you usually resort to, and you're less likely to try other places if you don't have the audacity to actually go out and enjoy food directly at fresh markets or fresh places. So overall on our side, we believe that we're able to benefit people, especially customers or people in general, because we actually shift people mindset. We actually tell them that going to market is good. We're not trying to say that they can't do delivery apps, but we're trying to tell them that using it and resorting it too much will potentially lead to over-reliance on something. And we are basically telling people, and we're promoting them to go out and enjoy the community around themselves more. And on the point of like workers and employees, we believe that we actually have won on this clash because we're able to prove to you how this is something that people are resort to, because note the fact that if you are like a shipper or you ship products and food, this is something that do not need a degree. So most people are likely to resort to this, and in turn, which leads to our first speaker, he talks a lot on exploitation. So very proud to propose on this motion today.